No, the right hand is gonna. Good to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am calling the October 11th, 2023 regular meeting of the Wood Creek City Council to order. We're here at the City Hall meeting. Ask that everyone first rise for a moment of silence, remain standing for the pledges. And I'm not one to tell you what to think about during your moment of silence, but I will be spending a lot of time thinking about things going on in the Middle East and Europe and hoping for peace. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to each other. One faith under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. The city secretary will call the roll.
Mayor Jeff Rasco.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett Foley.
Here.
Councilmember Linnea Bailey. Here. Councilmember Chris Grummer.
Here.
Councilmember Bob Hambrick.
Here.
Councilmember Deborah Hines. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. And we have public comment.
We do.
And do you want to speak together, back to back? Back to back? Is it? It's Marguerite. right?
Marguerite, yes.
Marguerite?
Yeah.
Marguerite Tormo? Yeah.
And you don't have to stand, by the way.
Yeah, you can.
My name is Marguerite Tormo, and my husband and Jose and I live at 2 Spalding Circle. I once lived in a historic town of Jefferson, Texas, on a bayou where my family had a riverboat tour for over 25 years. All that is to say that, though I'm not an engineer, I do know a thing or two about flooding. Concerning the ongoing road construction, when I was in nurses training, I was taught first, do no harm. I passed around to you some photos to illustrate my point. Our house sits on the corner where rainwater from Spalding Circle and Wilson Circle converges and heads toward Aurora LeBrun's house. This page also shows our driveway, first page, before any work was done to the street. You can see that our house had a driveway extension that helped divert the rainwater toward the street and then a rock toward a rock channel near Aurora's house. A few days ago, I was awakened to a very loud noise in front of my house. I ran outside and to my horror, this 1-foot concrete driveway extension had been completely destroyed, as you can see on page 2. I picked up some pieces of it before they carried it away. It stretched all the way across our double drive and flared on each side like most driveways do. It was 3 inches deep where it met our drive and tapered to 1/4 inch. Page 3 clearly shows where the extension lay, where you see the dirt at the end of the drive. We contacted Councilman Hambrick and later our city manager, Kevin Rule. He subsequently contacted Suzanne Whistle, the construction inspector, a few days later when the asphalt was actually to be poured. Suzanne came out and her answer was that they had the right to take out our 1-foot wide concrete driveway extension because, quote, it is actually on city property, end quote. Now, we all know that this construction crew had no idea where the center of the street is And if you drive around where they worked, you will see they went back and forth like a snake to go around various driveways. I see Suzanne's response as a CYA because she knew this was a big mistake. This 1 foot of concrete was useful to divert the water from our yard into the street and then into the rock channel. This was a complete lack of common sense the way I see it. Just because you may have the right to do it doesn't mean you should. Finally, today, when the asphalt was poured, there were promises made all day long about how they would solve the problem by making a dip behind our driveway to carry the water away from our house. These promises were not kept, and Suzanne was not reachable by us or Kevin, as far as I know. Nobody informed the crew of her promises to us. In spite of our constant objections, the crew poured the asphalt as they pleased, and now we have the street higher than our yard and driveway with no concrete barrier to divert the water as we had before, which, by the way, was working relatively well. Improvements are all well and good, but I'd say first do no harm.
Thank you. Yeah, second.
I just wanted to take a little bit more time and show 3 more images. The first image is the image of the way that Aurora LeBrun had managed the water flow coming from our driveway down into the intersection. And you can see that there's a rock channel that she put between her house and the neighbor's house to be able to funnel the water away from there. There's before the job was done, we had a fair amount of asphalt sediment debris that ended up washing out every time that it came through just because of the old road. And so one of the things that we're delighted to be able to see is that the new roads, and hopefully we'll have them better maintained so that they'll last longer. The second image shows the way that the asphalt was poured. And because our driveway sits more than a foot back from the edge of the road compared to where the rest of the driveways go, they came through and hand poured some asphalt. This was supposed to have been what they called a swale with at least an inch worth of room to be able to allow water to run off. The third page shows what happens when we put a level up against it. This is a 6 foot long level, so it's a long one. And we went from the edge of our driveway, which used to be 3 inches above the roadside, above the edge of the road, and now just going to where the edge of where the redone part was, you can see there's only about 1/8 of an inch. So what we're expecting is that there'll be no water channeling down the edge of the driveway. It's going to come into our driveway and it's going to settle into about 4 to 6 feet inside our driveway and then go into the rocks that we have, and it will end up being more sediment that needs to be carried out every month or 2, or at least every major rain. So thank you very much.
You do understand we can't actually respond.
I understand.
Except to say that, we will look into it until.
So we wanted to let you know, this is what's been done. This is where things stand. We're not satisfied with the water management. We think that there's a whole lot better hydrology work that could have been done to be able to manage how the water flows, especially through this hazardous section of the roadway that does flood. And when we get, our neighbor has lots of pictures on her phone showing how deep the water can get during a very heavy rain. And it's just vicious.
I've been over. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we will move to the consent agenda. I'm just gonna take a little moment of personal privilege, and thank, Mayor Pro Tem Chuli, for allowing me to enjoy my vacation and for all of you working hard to make that happen in my absence. So I know it's a lot of work. I couldn't have, hate to say I couldn't have picked a better time to be gone. But anyways, again, it was a lot, and I appreciate you, Brent. You bet. Thank you. All right, we'll move to the consent agenda.
I move that we pass the consent agenda with meeting minutes edits that were sent to staff to be incorporated. None of them are substantive content, so we can pass.
Just minor edits, and then.
We've already started with her, so she will get those corrected before you guys sign.
And that's the 20th and the 27th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I second. Is that, first? No, Bob. Oh, Bob, sure. I raised my hand. All right, so, consent agenda is moved by Councilmember Hines, seconded by Councilmember Hambrick. We will pull from signature, items 2 and 3, correct? Everything else is good?
Oh,
Well, I can, okay, go ahead.
this guy also makes the national statement.
Financial statements are part of the consent agenda.
I just had issues with the balance sheet, but I'll talk to,
We just take that up privately with.
I'll pick that up privately.
Okay.
I know,
I mean, you can pull it, I mean, you can pull the financial.
No,
statement and
no,
discuss
I just wanted,
I mean, I saw that yesterday.
it. Okay. In that case, if there's no other discussion on this, we can vote on consent agenda.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Brent Foley,
Aye.
Councilmember Linnea Bailey,
aye,
Councilmember Chris Grummer,
Aye.
Councilmember Bob Hambrick,
Aye.
Councilmember Deborah Hine.
Aye.
Perfect. I will, just on the reports, just for future reference, we did have some feedback from our city attorney on the reports, because as you'll remember, we would have, report from the mayor, report from the city manager, report from city secretary, whatever. So we're not, we've got to have actual items on the agenda. So if it's a report from the mayor, it's going to say in the future, report from the mayor, visit with, whoever, or, did this, or whatever. So there'll be bullets under the report. So if you have a committee report, as liaison, it would be good to submit, at least bullets for that report, so it can become part of the agenda. Yes, sir.
Does that count as one of our two?
No,
It is not.
Ask about the preferred format. When submitting that, should we just type the bullets into the sheet, or should we create like a separate PDF with bullets?
I wouldn't create a separate PDF, because basically what we want it to be is here.
Yeah, I know, I just like, what pops up easiest for staff? Because I've heard you can't see the notes section sometimes.
sometimes no. May I make the suggestion to, since this was a new thing, to make sure that what the council members would like and on the agenda, as bullet points, if they want to just submit the same way y'all do for the MS form and just write reports, since that's an option in the drop down there.
Yeah, it is.
But as far as the bullet points, what I'm asking is, do you want them written directly into the form under notes or whatever, or are y'all wanting like a separate PDF? Does that make sense?
No, not a separate PDF.
Put it in, start.
Go ahead. Actually, I'm going to do
Put it into the MS forms and put it reports, and then like the agenda item or summary,
Okay,
put, it's the P and Z liaison report, and we talked about, and I'll have to check with Charlie and make sure this is right, especially the first couple ones. And so, P and Z, above ground, talking about a report on above ground pools from P and Z, or what, something of that nature.
But
Does that make sense? You have to, it actually has to be a description of what your report is on, a topic, and that's all we can really talk about. And so Charlie wanted to, the city attorney wants to kind of tighten that up. So the first couple times we'll have to work with it, but I think if you put it on the form, and you put it in that format, we'll send it to Charlie and just see if he has any suggestions, and then like we always do, Jeff or myself will contact you to say, hey, we need to tweak it this way, because Charlie said.
Yeah, but tree board, update on Arbor Day plan,
Exactly.
that's probably sufficient, in that kind of report. They're just gonna say, we met, we thought, Carl Flocky said he'd be there for sure, we're all good, and okay, and then we move on to the next report.
No, we're still only doing them like one meeting per month, right?
The second meeting of the month,
Okay.
yes, second meeting of the month.
So we think that will clean things up a little bit. All right, so there being none of those, we'll move to new business, and the first item of business number 7 is regarding the initial 5 speed cushions in the city of Wood Creek.
I move that we proceed with soliciting through RFPs or OIs, ensuring review and recommendation concerning 1, 5 possible initial rental locations for speed cushions in the city of Wood Creek, and 2, the suitability of the proposed type of speed cushions.
Second,
I think we're okay on this. I've had a chance to talk with staff. The reason I propose this is we got the green light from the city attorney to proceed with soliciting engineering review. And my understanding is we are proceeding with that. So I just kind of wanted to get on the record that, Mr. City Manager, that we are proceeding with RFPs for that purpose.
Yes, I received the information that you sent over, and Councilmember Hines, I'm putting that into, the format of a RFP to send it out to, engineers in the area to try to get solicitations for an engineering judgment, in that, but, you have provided all the information, I just have to work on the format, which includes this information about Wood Creek, what we're looking to do, and the scope of the services that we're looking for, along with all of the, all the additional information that y'all provided.
Yeah, and I have to apologize because, the information that, probably would have been best to be in the packet, was sent to me, and I just missed it. So, Brent sent it to me and do you have copies?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can share copies.
Here's what we said, Kevin, and please feel free to highlight it. Yeah, that'd be fine. Better, thank you.
You got 2 minutes. Just kidding.
Okay. We're going up to the.
Do you want this proposal to go back to the council before we send it out, or do you want to
What do you usually do?
On an RFP?
Yeah,
at least send it out? But
I feel like this, they send it out, but I'm defer to council on that. We don't
Typically.
look at our case.
here, in the last meeting, Mr. Zach essentially said the motion wasn't even needed to some degree, because we had discussed that we were all on these 5 on the same page, and that essentially when Cave Freeze declined it, that kind of set into motion the need to do this anyway. So we're kind of just proceeding with normal city business, and then City Manager Rule asked for clarification on placement. So again, knowing that an engineer will have final judgment on placement on these, we just went out and found some decent ranges to look at. The only one that moved slightly is the one on Brook Hollow Drive, because there was incline in one area, so really the dot moved on the map, but it's still in the area that we were talking about near the playground. And then, we provided them pictures and address ranges for consideration. And then finally in the packet, Mayor Pro Tem Foley provided the speed cushion types for consideration. So those were kind of just the last little jigsaw pieces that City Manager Rule preferred to have when going out for these,
Yeah, good. Good. So, okay.
Well, I've spent a lot of time looking at that one particular area that I think wasn't the correct place for these speed cushions. There's usually a distance between intersecting roads, bends, and slopes. and the street. And so I have photographed probably every square foot of that, but if, as long as the engineers are going to look at it, on here where you show number C, 21 to 31, we'll call it, that actually is the bridge. So 31 is on one side, right near Far Circle, and that's an intersection. Here we have the bridge. This is 23 right here. Right
Yes.
here is 19. So it's just, that's 180 feet. A speed cushion would be barely putting on the brakes, and then you've got an intersection. And what I've seen, my experience with the speed bump, that's a problem, is not people going too fast, it's going too slow. And what you're gonna have here is a white road and a black object. People will see that, maybe they're going 25, but they'll slow down to 10. And then you gotta walk, you gotta slow down, the guy behind you. It, just where you're at a busy intersection, it is, I don't want it to cause more hazard than it is solving.
Right.
So,
And
as
if I
long
could,
as-
you know, we're not experts, which is why, you know, it's suggested that we get, you know, engineers to take a look. So these placement are not set in stone, if that makes you good. Not even set in rubber, you know, it's like, I think that they will look at these as suggestions, right?
But I agree, I bought something for the city. This is what I call an appraiser's wheel. It's a measuring device. I have my own, but, I think that we don't have to do everything on our own. We don't have to hire an expert, but we should use measuring tools, be precise. And so this printed. Thank you.
I've always wanted one of those. Is that the little one that you got? Yeah,
I will be out tomorrow to do that. I don't know what for. Going home.
But, you know, to your point, I mean, it's like the, you know. Yeah, that's for them to tell us that, okay, that the concept is great, we would suggest a totally different way. So what we've talked about from the get-go is, you know, we don't want a $75,000 study on this, we kind of know what we want, what we need, we've got years and years of data. You know, we kind of done all the homework, and it's just like, okay, so now just help us, you know, with some of these final decisions, so that they aren't, like, I didn't until I talked to Kevin, you know, I didn't really realize, oh yeah, you have to have, you know, certain kind of signage and, you know, in the morning, you can't just, I was just gonna stick it up in front of my house, you know? And you can't do that, you know, so we want to do it right, but there's no question that we want to do it, so I think that's where it comes from. And we just need some support from some experts, you know, that help us with our inexpert opinions.
Do I get? just one
I
more
interrupted
comment?
you, please, go ahead.
Okay, just if we need to do 5, there's a location that desperately needs one. In my opinion, it's the section of Augusta Drive that's just a long, straight speedway right here. And that is going to be a problem.
The other compound problem that we now have is we have great streets that everybody's gonna wanna go fast on.
They are going fast on that.
And we need to settle them down a little bit. That's just a given whenever you have great streets.
Yeah, our radar sign got moved, but we were able to get a little data on the difference between the paved streets and the unpaved streets, and there was.
No, I can,
Yeah, it's gonna be critical, and we've long known that somebody could get hurt, you know, we just. Yes.
I don't want to prolong this, but I agree. I think with the new streets, we're gonna have to look at other locations. Now, I'm not against that at all. And Deborah's actually trying to explain the current package, but I just felt like, let's get started somewhere. You know, get some limited engineering review on some proposed locations, and maybe we're wrong about the one at 21 to 31 Brook, the engineer will tell us, that's why we're asking you, let's get the engineer involved now. And, let's move this forward. And that's the only reason that I'm here tonight. Well, not the only reason, but it's one of the reasons I'm here tonight.
See, I'd like to propose an amendment that will put all five on Augusta Drive.
Yeah, we can't implement it.
I just want to speak to C and remind everyone that the playground is right there. So slowing people down around the playground
It's a good thing.
is good. Also, the member from K Freeze that was here, when we talked about this, I'm blanking on his name right now for some reason.
Jeremiah.
Thank you.
Jeremiah.
Gosh. Jeremiah actually came up to me after that meeting and said black speed cushions on a white road are ideal. Yeah, he was like, I heard that concern and I just wanted to let you know that's actually kind of an ideal setting, and whenever they're black on black, we have to install even more reflectors and things because they're harder to see at night. So these speed cushions in particular will be easier to see on Brook Hollow. So he spoke in favor of that. And then we do realize that that range crosses over the bridge because of that consideration of before or after the bridge. And why it was slightly tweaked is because of the hills. You can see in the photos on page 7 in here that there's a lot of slope coming up to the bridge. So it was kind of looking like after it would be a little bit more appropriate. And that, in fact, is an area where it's pretty easy to get up to a high speed because there's a radar sign there that I frequently catch myself pushing some limit on. And that's like with conscious effort to not go too fast, meaning you kind of have to ride the brakes down Brook Hollow, all of Brook Hollow.
You really?
Yeah.
All right. So. Action be taken?
Do we want to vote on the motion or do you need a motion? Okay. Okay.
I'll finish up what we talked about. I'll put it out. Once we receive the RFIs back, we'll bring something to council, and then you can discuss that. They will do the study, and then you can discuss that more into more detail what they find out.
Okay. Sure.
Could I have a repeat of the motion?
He's
I
got,
was just gonna withdraw it based on that understanding, but I can repeat it. Here.
Did you repeat it? Did the chair repeat it?
I have not repeated it. I don't have it. I didn't have it.
Then you're allowed to withdraw it.
Okay, then I'll withdraw it based on that understanding.
Okay, so let the minutes reflect that, that staff will proceed with, the RFP as discussed. All right, so we'll move on to item number 8, which is, beginning the request for qualifications for the position of city engineer, and Councilman employee added that today.
Yes, I like that. I'm on the page here, just a minute. Okay, I make a motion that we discuss and take possible action regarding issuing a request for qualifications RFQ for the position of city engineer.
A second.
I don't deal with that engineer that much, or our city engineer that much. I think it's time that we take a look at it. And, with that, I'll open it up for further discussion.
Councilman Ryan?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is a standing order already in place.
Yeah. We actually directed staff to look at, all contracts over 3 years, for review, and so this one is,
And
it's just,
wasn't it discussed that we were preferring to wait until after, because they have pending business going on with the roads in particular?
They will be done by the time it goes out.
Okay.
So, if I could, the outstanding things that we have as far as roads are concerned is hydrology. That and Deerfield, which has its own set of problems. So what we would do then is expect the new engineer to do those things with tasks as far as each one of those
Yeah, I
areas.
don't want to get out too far, but Deerfield is actually quite different than us going out and doing the roads. It's own engineer there, it's already been priced and everything, so it's totally different. So this is just for the city's contract with an engineer that looks at plan review, site plan development, all of that fun stuff that we get inundated with. That we send off to them for their expertise.
And other drainage projects.
Correct, drainage is, yeah,
Because we still
anything
have-
engineering and planning is what we send to them.
Just having worked with Kate Freeze as chair of the platinum committee and then a liaison, we weren't getting their best side. I'd like to see a little more dynamic, a little more attentive engineering firm, and so thank you for the work they did, but let's go forward.
And when we were going out for the grants, we talked to a lot of different engineering, or any of those stood out that we would have.
We did a much broader scope. It was like the whole state.
Yeah, right.
So there wasn't a lot closer, but I could review the list and possibly.
We have- I have that.
Yeah, you did,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
That came to me like driving somewhere, I said, hold it, we reviewed a bunch of. engineering
Yeah, and
for
that-
grant process.
About that grant, it gave us the list, which is, because they had to be certain qualifications.
Right,
But are specific to grants.
right.
That's good.
Just kind of,
Yeah.
easy one.
I have a question. Whenever we go out to RFQ, I know that there's like forms that we have to use during the interview process. If it's possible, can we start to like touch and update some of those to make them a little bit better? Because the ones I've seen are a little archaic, kind of difficult to use, sometimes hard to understand what it is that's being rated or even how it's super applicable to our city, because oftentimes it almost looks like we pulled a generic form from somewhere else. And so with this one in particular, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I don't have the extensive experience that Councilmember Bailey has had with them, but I have been in a lot of conversations with them and in private conversations about them, right? And what I have grown to understand in particular about K3s is that they're a massive company who was already massive and then got bought by another massive company, and that now they're dealing in projects with much bigger cities on a more frequent basis than us. And we're kind of like peanuts compared to the ham hock they're hauling in somewhere else. And a lot of times we're getting pricing based on those ham hocks and what they would do for this city with billion-dollar budgets, right? And so it would be really cool if we could sort of tailor our interview process to find some of these more boutique companies who could, and this is came up in this discussion with the speed cushions, right? There's tons of engineers that offer these tailored services and are happy to do that, right? But when you work with these big boys, right, they've got process and demands, and it's oftentimes to meet a bottom line, and you're not a unique customer to that. I'm not trying to speak ill of K3s, right? But I'm just saying that if we could tailor our interview sheets or in the interview process, sort of seek companies on our scale so they can operate within our budget,
If I might, it's like, I've been through a couple of interview processes here, for the city, for different services and things, and I do think that our process with the city attorneys was really pretty good and was tailored to, okay, so the questions that we ask, we are a small city, this is who we are, so how do you relate to that versus, their proposal is you've got, all these big old cities, we don't fit into that mold. So how do you adjust your service, to us? And so that's kind of what you're saying. It's just like, okay, so we're not gonna take something off the internet and turn it into, an RFQ for the city engineer. We're going to look at who we are, what we have in place, infrastructure that we have in place, and what our goals are, for the future, what we determine that we're gonna do, and tailor it to that. But I think that just sort of goes without saying that we want to do that. Good. I'm not sure who had their hand at first. Go ahead. Ladies
Just,
first.
in K3s on their website, before they were bought out, they said, we do large cities with a million population and as small as 4,000. Well, 4,000 was still double what we So- Look at it.
City Manager, I have a question. You said they wouldn't go, the RFQs wouldn't go out yet. Do you have a time frame in your head that you're thinking of?
For this one,
Yes.
as soon as we, here's two.
As in, I should wait 10 minutes?
There's a couple of
You can wait 10 minutes, yeah, it will go out after 10 minutes. I don't, yeah, I mean,
There's a couple of things that are
we,
still.
we have, I'll give you more information on that.
Maybe in the next report?
Yeah, yeah, you probably will
It's
see
just because-
something, you will probably see something from me in the next week or two about
Okay.
that. Probably before the next meeting.
So then my follow-up question is, we have standing projects such as the roads.
Yep.
And that's already a separate contract with them, correct?
Correct,
So even if we went out for RFPs and
correct.
it doesn't touch all that.
Correct.
So the road work's gonna still be reviewed and get done and made
Correct.
better.
Councilmember Haverhill.
Is there such a thing as a combination type engineering firm that does both large and does and small as well, where we can take advantage of some of the economies of scale as far as their employees are concerned, to give us some expertise? I don't know if there is or not, but if there is, that would be, I call it the best of both worlds if it's possible.
That's kind of the thought, I think Mayor is right, I mean, I thought on the roads, the bid package that we sent out there, received on those. We had large companies, we had smaller companies, we had companies in the area, and we had one from Houston. And so we had a wide variety, and then we narrowed it down from there. For the, city attorney, we had a very small boutique shop in the finals, and we had some larger firms in the finals. So and those were the two that we've done since I've been here, I think is all we've done. And so I think, yeah, we can, and that's part of the scope in us writing the RFP, is to make sure that, hey, they know that we're a smaller city. We need a lot of hand holding because we don't have the employees here. I mean, we get it and we send it to them, and we rely on their timeliness and expertise to work with our residents to get answers in a timely manner. But I think when we see the RFPs come back, we'll see small boutique firms, because I have a couple of names that we're gonna send it to, and we'll have medium size, and we'll have the big mumbo jumbo big ones.
He was cruising the floor at CML.
I was.
Cruising the expo.
Everybody was at CML and then the exhibition.
Every third bidder was in.
So I got a bunch of cars, talked to a lot of them. So yeah, we will interview all three, and we'll talk about later about the interview process once we get further down the road. But within the next month, I'm hoping by the end of the month.
And have somebody signed on by the end of the year.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So that's just very nice. That's bad for us.
So we don't have a specific action to this motion,
Is it to prepare the RFP?
and the chair didn't repeat the motion?
There was no motion stated.
Well, he said he moves that we discuss and take possible action regarding.
Once again, it's kind of more of a discussion than an action.
It's already standing order, to be honest, so.
Yeah,
So there's no action being part because it's already on the books.
but one thing that, we have done, the roads are, close to being finished. The playground, is close to being completed.
They had stuff there.
Yes, they have playscape was delivered today. The gazebo is up and going. We still have some work on Augusta Park, but a lot of our big projects are coming to a conclusion this month by Spooktacular, which we've been saying all along. And so now we have a whole list of other priorities that we're working on this quarter, and you'll be receiving that soon, information on that.
Can we release a statement about the gazebo, slightly off topic, but just that it is actually open now? Because there were several stages where it looked like it was done,
It's done.
and then it wasn't, but it would just be nice if the public, I know some people have used it. But we have not issued a statement saying the gazebo
Oh,
is
I think
open.
it's out on the email.
Yeah, the next
Hey,
email.
what is it, though?
Yeah, we will send
Just so
something.
people know it's safe.
There's a lot of information on that that we're gonna put out. We're working on that. Because also, we have gotten a lot of requests of, hey, can I use it anytime, or can I reserve it? And so we're getting a procedure in place for that. For everybody, yes.
May I, just an observation I made today, on my way home, between work and here. There was, a couple people in the gazebo, no big deal, but their children were climbing the trees. And I think we should have like
Climbing the trees?
climbing the trees at the triangle, and, you know, I think we should have something, some kind of, you know, like, rules, or like no sitting on the railing,
We'll work on that, you know, that's all.
And a lot of it's on Pat Rawlings' radar, actually. I
Yes,
was
we-
texting him the other day about signs at parks. But I mean, you're not gonna stop kids from climbing on trees. It's like an impossible mission.
Please don't. I want to see this
Yeah.
on the rise.
I just don't want it to be
So this, okay.
The gazebo, Arbor
The
Day,
gazebo
first thing
isn't on the.
at the gazebo, first big event, I'm gonna get it out anyway,
Okay.
so.
But you can do it in announcements. Which would be-
Yeah,
Okay,
So
so we'll move to that.
Okay.
Withdraw the motion.
Oh, withdraw the motion,
Okay, here we go.
thanks. Alderman
All
Freeman.
right, so announcements over there.
Oh, time for announcements?
Tom-
Sorry about four things at once here. Announcements, just a reminder, Arbor Day is coming up November 4th. Gonna have, it's gonna be at the gazebo, the first, I think, major event of the city at the gazebo. Anything else you want to tell us about it? You said through this whole meeting, so. Okay.
We have to wake her up first.
So we're pretty excited about this whole event. We've been planning it for months. And so Carl Kowalski will be doing a presentation there. That's the first major event. But then after that, there'll be a walk in the neighborhood with permission from neighbors, of course. But the second event that'll take place in that same gazebo is storytelling, the Giving Tree, with a local master gardener who tells stories at the library. And it's the Giving Tree, so it's, you know, pretty sweet
That's a great
story.
show. That's a great story.
And
Sure.
the entire event, it's gonna be really sweet. We're gonna have a dessert table that we're actually gonna give people nuts and fruit and cookies and things like that. And there'll be a food truck. Well, I'm assuming that that was approved.
Yes.
Yeah, they would on the consent agenda.
And there'll be a food truck, so people can buy real food, be Mexican food, and have drinks. And we'll be offering water and some desserts and other foods if Nancy Cuttington decides she wants to do that. And there'll be information tables on native and drought-resistant trees and plants. And also, there will be the Oak Pros. Sounds like a band, doesn't it? The Oak Pros. But they'll be coming and they will be giving people information, the neighborhood information about what to do if they have Oak Grove. They're pros in the area.
And did you mention the tree?
No. So working with Pat Rawlings and Becky Denton, we are looking at purchasing some trees with the tree funds that we can put in the parks. Then those trees will be desert tolerant, or the desert-like trees, like Retama, Palo Verde, sometimes maybe desert willow for sure, but maybe also redbud, depending on how much water we get and if we can plant. And so there will be an exhibition. There'll be some landscaping behind the gazebo that Pat Rawlings is working on, some of the natural naturalists, I think. but we are going to plant a tree there if water restrictions are lifted. We're all saving water, so we can water that poor tree. Once it will be planted, and it'll be a challenge, because it's an expensive sort of process to dig that hard ground. But we are planting a tree, and that, it'll be a ceremony installing the tree, and if we can't plant it, we're gonna put a little sign there that says reserved for the triangle tree. And I forgot, we're giving away door prizes. We have a donated burnt oak. Pat Rollins has said no oaks in the parks for now, and I understand that. So we're aiming towards intuitive planting for what we need in the community. And so we'll be giving away a burnt oak and a set of yoga classes. These are door prizes. And dinner for 4, Indian food, that person will go to their home, make food.
I think there's a winery and beer.
There's gonna be a flight tasting, I think, from Wimberley Winery. Cheryl Mills has been working really hard as an alternate on our board. And she's gotten quite a few different things. Gifts, we also be giving away saplings that are already planted. And those saplings will be an assortment of natives that Jacob is using for us. And
That's great.
Yeah, thanks for all your hard work, guys.
fun activities for the kids. So,
We'll get good turnout.
and for the grown-ups. Okay.
So any other announcements?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
October 29th, 4:45, Spooktacular begins. It will be on Sunday, October 29th, with the, golf cart parade. And we will be going down to the, golf course. There will be food down there. There will be beverages to be purchased. Great time for kids, costume contest for kids and adults. John Odell is the, master of ceremony again this year. And so tomorrow is the Parks Board at 5:30, and a lot of this information, we'll get a lot more tomorrow. And so we'll start sending out information on Spooktacular here.
Could you just repeat very specifically the address of locations?
One parlay is where it is. I don't know where
I
the,
just want people listening to know.
I do not know where it starts and where it ends until tomorrow.
It'll start on Deerfield
Starts on
and,
Deer.
and move up Deerfield and then turn right onto Wood Creek Drive. But it'll line up on Deerfield and then turn right.
And we'll end up where we did last year, which
Yeah.
is at that open space
On
that
Drive.
on one part.
Exactly. And I met with the Gambinos Friday. And just re-cleared it with everything, just, and they're excited about it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone listening knows that it's exactly what it was last year. It was really fun.
Exactly.
People that are listening.
So if those were all the announcements, I'll entertain,
Can we do any kind of an announcement, a celebration of the roads being all finished?
Yeah.
Is that? No, we need to,
No, they're not done.
Yeah.
no, when they are
Oh,
done,
yeah.
keep checking them.
no, I definitely think we should.
I think we could have a combined of the parks and roads together.
Yeah.
I would like to, talk about this. A celebration of the parks and the opening of the parks before we'll kind of get together, but I'll work with the council on that and get my deals out and get your feedback as well.
All right, well, if there are no further announcements, I'll entertain, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And we're out of here.
Well, boy.
50 minutes, 50 minutes?
No, I think
We didn't break our record.